Hey folks, welcome to another vlog. This is Star vs. the Forces of Evil, episode 13. The final Star vs. vlog, at least for now, because there isn't any more of the show as far as I know. This was a good finale. It was another full-length episode, which is to say one 22-minute segment instead of two 11-minute segments. Basically, pretty predictable. Star and Ludo team up to infiltrate the castle. Elements I was not expecting was basically complete removal of Margot from the picture. But I have to say I like that. I like that it essentially came down to Star fighting on her own. The fact that Ludo was in fact completely useless in infiltrating the castle. The only thing he contributed was failure, namely his failure to take his keys with him when he left. He was not actually needed to get in. And Buffrog, whose real name I don't remember, but I liked it, Yevgeny something, was far more useful than Ludo was, but in the end, this was definitely the Star show. This was Star versus the Forces of Evil. Which, I mean, she's always been kind of the big gun. But here, it was all her rescuing Margot. And I like that that's how it ended. The ending initially surprised me, but then I remembered that this is a magical girl show as much as it is a, Western cartoon, and has been drawing very heavily on kind of more Western cartoon stuff for the last few episodes, but it was a very magical girl ending in the sense that she gave up her power, had the emotional moment, and then explosions, fireworks, upgraded wand. Though cleaved. And as we saw at the ending of the episode, the other piece of the wand is somewhere in the wreckage of the castle next to a bone. I'm guessing that's the remains of Toffee from which he'll grow back, and he's being set up as the villain for next season, but he'll have a shard of the wand. In fact, I'm guessing that's probably what he wanted to happen, given that although he seems initially surprised by the wand just charging up to explode, he actually seems happy about it after. I also suspect, given the shot of the mirror and his jacket, that his jacket contains his life in some sense. That he can't be defeated as long as the jacket exists or something. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I particularly liked about this episode in specific, or anything else I particularly wanted to touch on. Yeah. I think that... Oh, yes. The moment where Star basically goes, no, and just sweeps away all the villains, all the monsters, and then does that, super charged up thing to blast open the cage, was one of the most badass things I've seen in a while. I really liked that. That was really well done. It proved that they really can do straight-up action when they choose to. Obviously, their forte is more comedic stuff, and that's fine. Play to your strengths. But it was nice seeing that they can get out of that a little bit when they want to. Which is probably a good thing, because one of my main observations on the series as a whole, which I guess I'll segue into talking about that now, is that it is unambitious. It doesn't particularly want to stretch itself, which is not a bad thing. What it does well. And not everything has to be, constantly pushing the boundaries of what an American cartoon can do. It's just that most of what I've done for this vlog series has, to some degree, done that. Um, Korra was very much about pushing against the boundaries in terms of the level of visual spectacle, the fluidity of motion, the kind of storytelling, and of course, with the finale, the kinds of relationships that can be shown. Steven Universe takes that last one even farther. It's all about pushing the boundaries of what can be done in a children's cartoon in terms of emotions and relationships, and can it still be funny and entertaining and energetic while also, being in subtle ways profoundly political. Steven Universe is a very political show, and that's something I'll be talking about in 2 weeks when I start on season 2, which I'm really looking forward to, in case I haven't made that clear previously. Only reason it's going to be 2 weeks is in between there's going to be a panel video. So that's, Korra did that, Steven Universe did that. Gravity Falls was a little bit less ambitious, and I think kind of the pattern I've noticed is that Disney seems to like to play it safe with its properties, which isn't surprising because it's Disney. So Gravity Falls is a little bit less ambitious, but even there, it's definitely going for the weird. It's definitely pushing out into the strange, but in this kind of low-key way that kind of calls for the amount of Twin Peaks that it's got in its makeup. That it's kind of, I say low-key even though the show's often very over the top, but what I mean is that it's not pushing the way that, say, Steven Universe is. It's content to just let the weird appear and be weird. And then this show, Over the Garden Wall, very much a boundary pusher, which actually now I think about it, was that Disney? I think it might have been. But I can't remember. That might have been Cartoon Network. No, I think it was Cartoon Network. But Over the Garden Wall was kind of about pushing against tradition, in the sense of it was reaching back into the past and saying, we can do better. And now we have Star, which really isn't interested in being anything other than quirky and fun, which quirky and fun is fine. You can do great things with quirky and fun. Phineas and Ferb made quirky and fun work for roughly 10 billion seasons. But it does make the show a little bit more difficult to talk about, at least in the kinds of things I talk about. It's been a tough nut to crack. It's been a tough show to kind of find an angle on, because it doesn't want to be read. It wants you to just sit and enjoy it. Which there's nothing wrong with that. It's just, like I said, it makes these vlogs a little harder. But the show doesn't, it wants to be surface. It wants to be unchallenging. Which is interesting, actually, because it says things about what is an unchallenging cartoon in today's day and age. And what we see is unchallenging means quite a lot of the grotesque. It means a female main character can be unchallenging. A female main character who, is the big gun of the show. And yes, she's wielding magic, but she's also kicking people in the face quite a lot. That is unchallenging now, which is interesting, because I think, as recently as when Korra was getting started, at least in the eyes of TV executives, that was challenging. They were hesitant to back it because it had a female main character, and there's that myth that boys don't watch shows starring girls. which is, of course, is why Kim Possible was an abject failure with boys. But regardless, it is a myth that continues to be believed. Or at least it was a few years ago. Who knows? Maybe it's starting to change. Starz seems to just suggest that you can do that and not be pushing any boundaries at all. So in a way, it's a testament to how far we've come, even just in the last few years. I mean, the level of weirdness on display would have been moderately edgy for a Nickelodeon cartoon of the late 90s, early 2000s, from what I've seen of those cartoons. It's not quite to the level of, like, Ren and Stimpy, but it's clearly partaking of that, and just by partaking of that, it's something that would have been too edgy for TV when I was a kid, 88, 89, somewhere in that range, up to about 92. It would not have, it would have been quite borderline. Ren and Stimpy got a lot of parent complaints. And now it's just whatever, that's how cartoons work, that's what cartoons are. It is a signifier of the fact that we're living in the second golden age of cartoons. Arguably, the first golden age of cartoons, and the 40s were just, a forerunner. It's, it's not a brilliant show. It's not particularly a smart show, which is not to say that it's dumb. It just, is content to do its thing. And you gotta give it respect for that. Even while, honestly, having not a ton to say about it. So yeah. I enjoyed it. I'm glad I watched it. But I have to say, I am really looking forward to Season 2 of Steven Universe, and then Season 2 of Gravity Falls, and then whatever I watch after that. Yeah. So I will see you all next time with a panel video, and then week after that with the first episode of Steven Universe Season 2. Bye!